What gives blues this unique sound? I can pick up a guitar and play just a couple notes, really just a few seconds, right? And immediately you know it, it's the blues, right? After a few seconds. What creates this unique flavor? Today in this second video of our series where we explore the blues, I'm going to talk about the blues as a musical language. What makes a piece of music sound bluesy? What creates this unique sound that we all identify in a second? And then we're going to talk about how blues uses this musical language in order to express the emotion that we talked about in the first video. So here we go. The musical language of the blues is deeply rooted within the genre's history. Now, we're not going to talk too much about that. This is not a music history kind of video. But I'm going to mention here briefly the very well-known fact that the blues is an African-American creation. And so the blues is, a lot of people think about the blues in terms of some sort of a fusion or a mixture, right? Between on the one hand, the African musical traditions that were brought together with the enslaved Africans to the United States, but on the other end, the Western European traditions of the Euro-American hegemony. The mixture between these cultures is what created the blues. Now, in order to better understand this fusion, let's talk about harmony. Harmony in the strict sense of just chords, right, and accompaniment. It's like a very simple tune. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 right? I'm singing a very simple tune and I'm using the guitar to accompany my voice so it won't feel too lonely. Now, this concept of harmony is a European invention. You don't find this traditionally any other place other than Western Europe. And that makes a lot of people say that because blues definitely uses chords, blues started to use chords very early on when it started to form itself as an American song, then this concept of harmony came to blues from the European side. A lot of people would say something like the rhythm of the blues came from Africa, but the harmony came from Europe. But this is only true at a very superficial look. The blues uses harmony completely on its own terms. The blues changes harmony on the DNA level, in fact creating a new harmonic language. Traditional European harmony is built around the idea of two different keys, two different scales, two different centers or two different colors, separated. You have the major key, which is thought of as the happier, brighter tone color in music. Famous example? And then you have the minor key, which is considered the darker, gloomier, more sad and serious scale in music. Now the question of why only two keys, two scales, whereas other cultures sometimes have dozens of different scales, that's a very interesting question, and I would just suggest that maybe it teaches us something about very deeply rooted tendencies and notions within the Western European subconsciousness. The striving for clarity, for separation, for binarity, for dichotomy, this kind of worldview. Now the blues is forming itself within this musical climate of separation between these two scales. And the blues looks at this dichotomy between the two scales and it says, nah, that's not gonna work for me. That's just not the way blues sees the world. And immediately it starts to break the boundaries between the major and the minor. It starts to melt these lines between major and minor. Now this is how it sounds. This is a major chord. Right? Listen to how pure it sounds, right? And listen to what happens to it once I add a minor note within this major context. This is the major chord, and then immediately you get this bluesy feeling, right? Because I introduced a minor note within a major context. But it's even deeper than that, because if this is the major sound and this is the minor sound, then an authentic blues player would play something like that. Right? Between the notes, between the major and the minor. This is why the blues likes the guitar and the harmonica so much, because these are instruments that enables you to bend a note and to be, and this ambiguity is actually what gives blues its unique sound. This is also what makes blues so hard and in fact impossible to be described, to be written down by standard Western notation, because it's not simply a matter of adding an extra note. It's this playing between the notes, this ambiguity, what musicians called microtonality of the blues, that makes the blues what it is. In the first video of this series, I talked about blues as an emotional expression, an emotional quality. And I talked about how the blues is not really sad and depressing music the way that a lot of people think of it. Rather, that it kind of embraces sadness and celebrates the sadness together with the happiness, good times and bad times together. Life is really the main point of the blues. It celebrates life and it holds on to life even when the conditions are the worst that it can be. And I just think that this mixing, this ambiguity between major and minor is a beautiful musical metaphor for just this kind of emotion, for this kind of worldview, for this kind of perception. In the next video, I'll talk about other deep aspects of the blues and the way that they describe this unique emotion of the blues. So hit the subscribe button if you want to get updates on next videos, and I'll see you there.